Public Libraries Act in India, Tamil Nadu Public Libraries Act 1948, Andhra Pradesh Public Libraries Act 1960, Karnataka Public Libraries Act 1965, Maharashtra Public Libraries Act 1967, West Bengal Public Libraries Act 1979, Manipur Public Libraries Act 1988, Kerala Public Libraries Act 1989, Haryana Public Libraries Act 1989, Mizoram Public Libraries Act 1993, Goa Public Libraries Act 1993, Orissa Public Libraries Act 2002, Gujarat Public Libraries Act 2002, Uttarakhand Public Libraries Act 2005, Uttar Pradesh Public Libraries Act 2005, Rajasthan Public Libraries Act 2006, Bihar Public Libraries Act 2007, Chhattisgarh Public Libraries Act 2007, Pondicherry Public Libraries Act 2007 to 2008, Arunachal Pradesh Public Libraries Act 2009. Library Classification System /Year. Duodecimal Classification, DDC. 1876 devised by Melville Dew. Expansive Classification, EC. 1891 devised by Charles Amy Cutter. Library of Congress Classification, LCC. 1904 by Library of Congress US. Universal Decimal Classification, UDC. 1905 developed by Paul Otlet and Henri Lafontaine. Revision by FID. Subject Classification, SC. 1906 devised by James Duff Brown. Colon Classification, CC. 1933 devised by S.R. Ranganathan. Bibliographic Classification, BC. 1935 devised by Henry E. Bliss. Library Bibliographic Classification, LBK. 1959 by Lenin Library Moscow. LIS International Classification. RIC. 1961 devised by Vermont Ryder. Broad System Ordering, BSO. 1978 project developed by UNESCO. Cooperation with FID. Classification scheme and examples. Purely enumerative scheme of classification. Example, Library of Congress Classification. LIS International Classification. Almost enumerative scheme of classification. Example, Subject Classification. Duodecimal Classification. Almost faceted classification. Example, Universal Decimal Classification. Bibliographic Classification. Rigidly faceted classification. Example, Colon Classification first 3 editions. Almost freely faceted classification. Example, Colon Classification 4, 5 and 6th editions. Fully freely faceted classification. Example, Colon Classification 7th edition. Cataloguing Codes and Years. British Museum Code 1841. Duet's Rule 1852. Rules for Dictionary Catalogues 1876. Prussian Instruction 1899. Anglo-American Code 1908. Vatican Code 1927. Classified Catalogue Code 1934. American Library Association Code 1949. Anglo-American Cataloging Rules I 1967. Anglo-American Cataloging Rules II 1978. Anglo-American Cataloging Rules II Revised 1988.